What's good? Hope you're having a great day. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down two Trippy warp effects. They're both really cool effects, so let's get right into it. Starting off with the first effect, we are going to be using Displacer Pro, which is a free plugin. Make sure to install it so that we can create this effect. To get started, we're going to grab the rotor brush tool or first double click the layer and then grab the rotor brush tool and mask out your subject. In order to make your brush bigger, you can hold the control button, left click, and just drag your mouse. And then if you wanted to get rid of any unwanted parts, you can hold the Alt button on your keyboard and then you can drag over those unwanted parts. We're going to now rotoscope our subject. After rotoscoping your subject, click the freeze button. Go back into the composition and I'm going to adjust the feather as well as the shift edge. I'll increase the feather to 10 and then decrease the shift edge just by a little. I'll decrease that to like -20, and by doing that, it just creates smoother edges for our subject. Grab that layer, click Ctrl D in order to duplicate it, and then for the bottom layer, delete the rotor brush effect so that we have the full background. And I'm also just going to rename this BG for background. For the first effect, we're going to add a Displacer Pro. For this Displacer Pro effect, for some reason, every time we animate it, the anchor point is always at the top left corner, and that's not what we want. So we're going to change the anchor X as well as the anchor Y to 50% so that every time it animates straight from the middle. Keyframe the scale at 100% at the start and then go forward 12 frames. Increase the scale, and as you guys can see, it really distorts our effect. It creates that trippy liquid effect. Keyframe the scale at 190%. Go forward another 12 frames and keyframe the scale back to 100%. For the next effect, we're going to add a tint. For the color, I'm going to change the white color to more of a green color so that it matches with the video. And we're going to keyframe the amount to tint at 100% at the middle, and then go to the beginning, keyframe that at 0%, and then also keyframe the end at 0%. The next effect we're going to add is a glow. I'm going to use the Uniglow. First, I'm going to decrease the size. I'll decrease that to 4 and then increase the intensity to 2. Keyframe that and then keyframe both the beginning as well as the end at 0. And with this animation, as you guys can see, we have that like animate in effect and then it animates out. The final effect we're going to add is a CC radial blur, and with this effect, it just adds more blur to our animation. Change the type to straight zoom and increase the amount. I'll increase that to 12, keyframe that, and then of course we want to keyframe the beginning as well as the end at 0. Make sure to easy ease all of these keyframes, and now when I play this, we have that trippy liquid effect or trippy warp effect. So it animates in and then it animates out. Moving on to the next effect, we're going to be creating this trippy explosion effect, and no plugins are going to be required. We're just going to be using all the effects that are built within After Effects. So let's first start out by rotoscoping our subject. Make sure to adjust the feather as well as the shift edge. Duplicate that layer, and then for the bottom layer, delete the rotor brush effect. Also rename this one to BG. The first effect we're going to add is an optics compensation. Make sure to click the reverse lens distortion, and as you guys can see, the more we increase this, the more trippy or distorted it looks. So I'll increase that to 140. Keyframe that and then go forward 14 frames because I want this animation to feel really smooth. Keyframe that to 0. For the next effect, we're going to add a tint. I'll be changing the color to more of a blue color so that it matches with our footage. Keyframe the amount to tint at 100% at the start and then go forward 14 frames. Keyframe that back to 0. The next effect we're going to add is a glow. Increase the glow radius to around 30. Keyframe the glow intensity at 1 at the start and then keyframe it to 0. Since we are animating this background, I do want to add some motion blur, so I'm going to add a CC radial fast blur and bring this effect above all the other effects. Change the zoom to brightest. Decrease the amount to 20. Keyframe that at the start. Go forward 14 frames to keyframe that back to 0. I'm also going to add a flash effect at the start so that right when it animates in, we kind of have that like transition. So let's create a new adjustment layer, and I'll make this adjustment layer 4 frames long. We're going to add an exposure. Keyframe the exposure at 2 at the start and then go forward 4 frames to keyframe that back to 0. Open up all the keyframes for these layers, and then I'm going to easy ease all of them. Now when we play this from the start, this is what we have for our final effect. Those are two different ways that you can add some trippy warp effects to your music videos. Of course, there's a lot of different ways that you can modify them to your own liking, but that is all I have for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.